Hello, everyone. Welcome to Gamifying Government, third time's a charm. My name is Adrian Webb. I am an Australian public servant here in Canberra. What we wanted to do is talk to everybody about how we are utilising games-based technologies within the public service and showcasing that the public service is more than just people behind desks and policies and people in suits. That there are engineers and there are a range of opportunities for people like yourselves that are interested within the games community or looking to see where potentially your next job might be within the public service itself. We have a few people with us today to showcase some of those aspects, namely Adam Ball, who works at the Mint, and Christian Raston, who works with Austrade and looks
Afternoon.
after how the Austrade engage with us and the gaming community. So I will let them introduce themselves a bit better than that. So we'll go to Adam first.
Hi everyone. I work at the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra. I'm a coin designer and sculptor. So for my background, I suppose I really do a lot of sculpting in ZBrush and stuff like that. So I'm from a gaming background. I started off at the AIE doing my diploma of screen, where I learned all those types of skills. Went on to be an illustrator. And then in 2010, I started as a teacher at the AIE. And through that, I eventually became a part of a small indie company called Evil Aliens. And working with Evil Aliens, I was working on a game called Orbiter and some other games on the side. And from that, ended up at the Mint somehow. So I was there teaching them how to use ZBrush because they were trying to upskill their coin designers. Yeah.
Nice one. All right, thank you very much, Adam. Christian, would you like to introduce yourself?
Good afternoon. So my name's Christian Raston and I'm with Austrade, which is Australia's Trade and Investment Commission. Unlike Adrian and Adam, I do not have a game development background at all. So I'm an investment advisor with Austrade's digital technologies team, and we're in the investment and traction work. And so how it works is with the game sector, if you're a digital games company and you are looking at expanding your presence internationally, and you are considering Australia, you can work with Austrade to be able to navigate both federal and state government, as well as various different topics like visas. We can assist you with that. And we can also provide you with any information you're after on the Australian market. So we exist to promote Australia as a location for investment. So if you're a game studio and you're looking to expanding another studio, we can assist you with expanding into Australia. As well, Austrade is a trade agency as well as an investment attraction agency, and we help Australian game development businesses with their export plans. And so recently we have been partnering with the Interactive Games and Entertainment Association on various activities, including a workshop where we worked with an international expert, Jason De La Rocca, to actually provide seminars, digital seminars online for various game development businesses across Australia, from startups all the way to Australia's leading studios. And as part of that, offered mentoring from Jason himself as an international expert. In addition, we've offered boot camps on the Chinese market to help game studios actually understand how to do business within China, how to actually pitch to Chinese businesses, and how you can actually launch a game in China. And so we have over 80 offices across the world. And so we can support not only digital games businesses, but all Australian technology businesses with both your export plans, as well as if you're a technology business looking to expand in Australia, we can assist. So great to meet you all.
Nice one. Thank you very much, Christian. Now, I will put the normal disclaimer that the views that you see and expressed here are entirely our own unless otherwise stated by the particular person. They do not reflect the different departments that we work for unless it's specifically stated, just in case anyone goes off and says, well, Adrian said this, therefore the Department of Defence means this. That's not the case at all. And I guess just to give a bit of background for myself, So my name is Adrian Webb. I'm the manager of virtual worlds within the Department of Defence here in Australia. I've been doing serious games in Australia for around about 10 to 12 years now. Like Adam, I have a background. I went to study at the Academy of Interactive Entertainment, did a an advanced diploma in professional game development for programming. Then I worked there as a student liaison officer, and then I said, I need to use my skill sets, I think. So I had a look around, and Department of Defence were looking for someone interested in serious games, and I was lucky enough to get that job, and I've been in there close to 9 years now, looking at how we can better utilize commercial off-the-shelf technologies, be that VR, AR, or games and serious games aspects, games engines, and games practices to better enhance our training for our soldiers from all levels, from single service right up to joint collective training as well. And obviously provide a lot of advice to government, both defence and other government departments as well. There are lots of government departments that are utilising these types of technologies. This is the third year that we've been doing this event, and every year we've had more and more people that are coming and are interested in seeing how government are utilising these technologies to better engage with their people, with the public, and hopefully this is another one of those success stories where we can showcase that on this side of things. Alright, so now I've got the disclaimer and myself out of the road, we can focus on the real stars of the show in Adam and Christian. And Adam, I guess if you can start talking about some of the projects that you've been utilising and working within the Mint for.
Yeah, no worries. So pretty much every project that I've worked on in the Mint has used the game software. So my initial contact with the Mint was to go there and actually teach them to use a program called ZBrush. Now, for those of you not familiar, ZBrush is a digital sculpting program. Now, sculpting is where it first, started off, and it's what it's strong at. But it does other things as well. You can do some animation, and you can texture and stuff in there. But obviously, the texturing and animation parts of ZBrush isn't really useful for the Mint. But the digital sculpting aspect of ZBrush is really handy. So
unless, of course, we decide to make moving coins, which you can write that down as a great idea for next time.
That's it. Yeah, I'll give it to the R&D guys, and they can make it happen, I suppose.
All right, we'll see that. I'll just copyright that now, just for 5 years' time. You guys create amazing stuff, so
How did I not think of that? It's crazy. Come and join us.
Sorry, continue, Adam.
So, where was my train of thought? Yeah, so using ZBrush. So I went there to teach them that. And while I was there, I was like, this job looks amazing. And I kept going on the employment sites and seeing if there was a spot open, and eventually there was, and yeah, they let me on board. So on the projects, so immediately I started using ZBrush for those coins. Now, we don't use ZBrush all the way through. So we use ZBrush to sculpt, and then we put it in another program called ArtCam, and then that goes downstairs to be cut into dies and struck on coin blanks and stuff. So yeah, pretty much every coin that we use, that has like a really sculptural base to it, like if it's got figures or characters or organic things, it's going to be using ZBrush most of the time. What that's good for is usually a coin will be made with plasticine, and then that plasticine will be turned into a plaster. So the coin designer and sculptor will go in and make those plasticine things, carve into the plaster. That plaster will be made into the 3D model. Now, ZBrush allows us to kind of skip the step where you need to scan that plaster in and then send downstairs to make into those dies. So yeah, I suppose it's made it a bit more efficient in that way, and it allows the artist to stay digital and just go ZBrush, ArtCam without any in-between scanning steps or anything like that. Yeah.
And so do you know why they decided to go with ZBrush rather than move from the traditional way of doing stuff across to the ZBrush aspect?
Well, I suppose they'd already been moving a little bit digital anyway. So your ArtCam is a digital thing and it has some sculpting in there, but compared to ZBrush, it's like using a potato to sculpt fine detail. So I suppose they just needed something that was a bit more refined than ArtCam. And also some other mints had gone the ZBrush way as well. And ZBrush is the main industry standard when it comes to sculpting.
So do you think it saved a lot of backwards and forwardsing from the different, like, because I'm assuming you still have to strike quite a few coins to see how it works in the real life, but did they have to do a lot more of that? Like, because obviously you would have had some people that were doing it the traditional way, and now you've got a lot of people doing ZBrush. Have you seen that there's been a reduction in the amount of version aspects, if that makes sense, of the coins?
Well, that's hard to say because I was there once everything went digital. And I've seen some projects go from plasticine all the way through as well, because some of the guys still do use plasticine when they want to. I think it just cuts down on that having to scan it. So there might be a day of scanning the plaster and then putting it into ArtCam, and then also making sure that the heights are right. So say you're in ZBrush and you're sculpting away, you can actually know exactly what height you're sculpting at. So I can be working at, like if I'm working on 50-cent coin, in ZBrush, it's a 50-cent coin. And wherever I'm touching on that coin, it's telling me how high it is. So as an example, 50 cent, I'm not going to give you an exact number or anything. It might not be an official number, but our maximum height near the middle of the coin might be, I'll say 0.3 of a millimeter. And in ZBrush, that allows you to be able to go, cool, I'm sculpting at 0.3 of a millimeter here, 0.02 here, and so forth. Whereas if you're on a plaster or using plasticine, obviously you're not going to have that one-to-one scale. So there's that as well. So yes, there's less reworking, I suppose. Yeah, that's.
And have you found using ZBrush has allowed you to do new things? Like I saw the video of yourself in relation to the triangle coin.
Mm-hmm.
Have you found that using ZBrush has allowed you to open up opportunities that you normally wouldn't get to have if you were using traditional methods?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it does to an extent. Like as an example, if I'm working on, say, the triangle coin that you're talking about had a lot of characters on there, I might be able to duplicate someone's head that I've just sculpted. I might shift it over to another body and then just alter that head. And another example might be also, I was playing around with using fully 3D models and angling them to the way I wanted, and then flattening it and then putting it on the coin. So there's all different ways you can work as well. So like the first time I tried that was not an ideal shape. I actually had to do a train coin. So it's a 3801 coin. It was actually made from, I made a fully 3D model of a train. Then I put it on that perspective angle and then squish it down. Now that's a great big bit of perspective going on. So it was probably not the best project to use it on. But yeah, that's a type of example as well. So if I wanted to pick that up and then rotate it to a different angle and then squish it down and put it on the coin, I could have done that too. So I've got some things like some default heads that I rotate around and flatten down to just have something as a base. So I'm not just starting from a blob. Sometimes I do that too. So there's a few things that you can do to speed things up. Yeah.
Okay. Christian, did you have any questions for Adam while we're talking about these type of projects?
No, it just sounds really exciting. So I'm just listening in saying, look, that's really cool. So yeah, that's awesome to hear. And really, actually, I do have a question. When, I guess with the ZBrush adoption across mints, when did that really happen globally?
See, I'm not even sure that it is global.
Okay.
It might have been like 1 or 2. Yeah.
Does the Perth Mint use them as well?
I'm not sure what software they use now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe just unique to Canberra.
Maybe, or maybe not.
Because I do know the Perth Mint do some very cool coins. I have a Transformer one from years ago when they did a series of ones for the movie, and it's got a lot of color and stuff like that in it. It looks very cool.
Yeah. I'm not sure what they're using. No, definitely they'd probably be using that other program called ArtCam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Adam, for giving us a bit of introduction about the project and aspect, and we'll get back to it, I'm sure, a bit later.
Sweet.
Christian, do you want to have a chat about what you guys are doing over at Austrade for the games community and game developers and further afield?
Yeah, sure. That'd be great. So, I guess the main thing with the game sector is it's a born global sector that exports. Like you have to a lot of the game sector are making games not for Australian audiences but for global audiences, and the stats are there to prove that point. So within Australia, across Australian studios, the last survey done by the Interactive Games and Entertainment Association said 83% of revenue is coming from international markets. And so as an export agency, we support trade. And as a result, the game sector is the perfect sector for us to be supporting, especially across technology, because it is a born global export sector. And as a result, we've been working with both state governments as well as the industry associations to be able to support the sector. And I'm looking forward to supporting it further moving forward. So as part of that, we've got we've heard through talking through the sector that a lot of businesses, one of the biggest issues was China. China is the world's largest global market, and we have a really great and very capable team based in China there. And so as a result, we've actually developed and delivered 3 separate boot camps for the Chinese games market via Austrade's LannyPads program, which is a program for technology businesses that are born globals and are looking for a place to place themselves for 3 months. They can actually expand there and situate themselves from the LannyPad, which of course with COVID is they're now changing. Of course, so things are different now, but as part of that, what the real offering is you get the expertise of the local Austrade BDM manager that runs the LannyPad to actually assist you so you can find the right connections and understand the market, and you go to the right events to meet the right people, so you are able to expand there. So we were able to use the LannyPad to actually develop programs for China to cover everything from both understanding IP issues and IP itself. When we got them, Australia actually employs an IP commissioner in China to assist Australian businesses with IP. So, we'll bring them in to discuss IP, and then we'll bring in the some of the leading economic figures in China's games market to talk about, the movements in the Chinese sector, just because it moves so quickly. And in addition, we'd also take when we did do, so 2 of the boot camps were completely, on the ground in Shanghai. And so we did take the businesses to, to meet and greet some of the biggest players in China, including Tencent Games. And then following that, would actually take them into China Joy itself and, assist them with meeting the right partners on the ground. Now, when COVID happened, we actually took that boot camp and took it completely digital this year, around a digital boot camp. And so we actually employed we brought in an American consultant that's an expert in, actually helping American businesses actually get partnership deals in China to provide mentoring as part of that program. We took it completely digital and we heard great things as a result of that. So as a result, moving forward, we really are looking forward to supporting the sector further in both trade and then also investment. What we've seen is especially with Industry 4.0, games technology, games AI, and everything behind making a game are becoming a core component of the Industry 4.0 transformation, and that will impact across all sectors. And so we're really looking forward to supporting further investment from the game sector into Australia, because it provides both the jobs and the skill sets that Australia needs to support all sectors moving forward. And so, the games engines, both Unity and Unreal, you're seeing things like virtual production technology and film, and how now post-production is moving to pre-production. And so companies are now going to look at, doing the on-location shooting as part of pre-production. They'll go out to the right location, they'll film it all, and then they're going to recreate it in the game engine and actually using LED technology, actually film in a studio. So, especially with COVID, that technology there, that was being adopted, but that adoption is going to accelerate. And also things like, especially with Unity and how they can simulate machines, so companies can, if they're looking at, implementing a new machine or building a new machine, they can actually simulate it in a game's engine, and to see, pretty much reduce any and all issues moving forward before actually building the thing and seeing anything happen. So, improving efficiencies as well as being able to simulate across teams. So really looking forward to support the sector. And you can see it, if you're studying game development, you'll be able to see that, those skills are going to become more and more important moving forward as Industry 4.0, changes all sectors.
I guess, Christian, I haven't heard of the term Industry 4.0. I was hoping if you could explain that a little bit more.
Sure. So it's a term that's taken off sort of globally, and it's to describe how, over time you've had the agricultural revolution. And so what they're saying now is, especially with the new technology, with VR and AR, which implements game engines to simulate how you, do training simulations and how you interact with technology, that's going to actually lead to the revolutionization of industry technology and how we interact within industry. So that's from implementing things from like human machine learning all the way to VR and AI sort of simulations is Industry 4.0 there.
Okay.
So yeah, not the best. Sorry.
Sorry. You mentioned that, obviously this was your third China Joy visit and organising that, but obviously Austrade has been working a lot longer in this space as well, haven't they?
Yes, they have. So, that was led. So we've changed how our services work. So when I started with Austrade, I was actually a trade advisor, and I took over being the lead for the game sector. And now I'm in the investment attraction team, which is like a smooth transition there. But before that, Austrade has been looking at games for quite some time. And I think it was in 2016, we actually did an industry capability report promoting Australia's capabilities in the game sector. And that was in 2016, which is
And you
great.
guys have got a small team behind you now? It's not just yourself, is it? Or
Yeah, so we've actually, the way we deliver services, especially to trade clients, is actually changing. And it's to be able to develop our services, so to take Australian businesses further faster. And so the way they're looking at all sectors is changing. So can't really talk to trade, but in investment, I work with a close team. So there's 3 of us looking after all technology. Sorry, 4 of us. And so while I lead, on all things games, and supported both at the high level and also across teams as well. So there is a couple of us looking at it.
okay, cool. Adam, did you have any questions that you wanted to ask of Christian?
No, that was good.
All right, cool. All right, well, I'll get into some questions more about how, and why these different government departments, being Austrade and Mint, what you guys think as to why they're looking to use this gamification aspect, and why you think that they've decided to take up game development and look at the game's tools and aspects and see how they can benefit themselves. And I guess we'll start with yourself, Adam.
Yep. So I suppose with us, it was just out of necessity to, progress and stay up to date. So if we're using a program like ZBrush, we can have digital clay, and we don't have to get out of that digital realm, and it can speed things up a little bit. So there's one other aspect that we've been using, and I brought to the team, and that's Keyshot. Have you heard of the program Keyshot before?
I have not.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not necessarily gaming, but it's something you might learn in like a gaming class or whatever in AIE or something similar. So it's rendering, and we can use that rendering, and that uses a real-time rendering engine inside it. So we can actually put different finishes on the coins and see what it's going to look like with different frosting on different parts of the coins, which is pretty interesting. I can actually pull up a screen share and show you some stuff if you want.
Yeah, if you can. Any props are always welcome.
Sweet, yeah. Sorry, I should have mentioned that before, but it's not strictly gaming.
I guess this is the thing. So it's utilizing these type of technologies and utilizing them in a different way that people haven't seen or have maybe not even thought of before.
Yeah. So can you see that screen share?
Yep.
Cool.
That looks amazing.
Thanks. This is one of my most recent coins that's come out. So it's part of a 3-coin set. the Banjo Patterson set. So there's the Man from Snowy River, of course. There's Waltzing Matilda and Clancy of the Overflow. So this one's the Man from Snowy River, and we can see that. So all of the sculpted parts, the sculpted aspects of this coin are actually frosted, and the background and the text are polished. So yeah, we can go into Keyshot and apply these frostings and polishes to the 3D model and see what it's going to look like. We can show people that are like product developers and stuff like that what it's going to look like before it actually becomes a coin. And we actually use the same images for our products on packaging and promotional material.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool too.
Yeah. And do you have to sign all of them? Like, will we see that little AWB on the official coin?
Yeah. Yep. That's on the coin.
Oh, nice one.
Yep. So if it's coin where it's definitely my design all the way through, then yeah, it's going to be AWB on there.
And you've done, if I remember correctly, you've done some like Possum Magic and those kind of sets as well.
So the Possum Magic one, I did a sculpt for the token. Now that was obviously designed by someone else, so that doesn't have my initials on it.
Okay.
So that's the type of thing where my initials wouldn't go on it.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've done a bunch of coins, probably like around about 100 sculpts now, 100 coins.
Yeah. Do you have them all? Like all of them sitting in your room in like a trophy cabinet?
No, some of them are gold and way too expensive for me.
You are on a government salary after all.
Yeah, $3 grand for a coin. Yeah, I wish I could buy
$3,000.
Yeah.
Are these like the coins all like 50-cent size? It is a 50-cent coin, or do they get larger?
No, it's 50-cent size. Yeah.
$3,000.
I mean, this one here isn't. This one's aluminium.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it looks like gold, but it's the aluminium bronze that we use on our $2 and $1. Yeah, but we make bullion coins and stuff like that. That is actual gold coins, and they're a bit bigger, but not much bigger.
Okay.
Yeah. Fair enough. What about yourself, Christian? How, like, obviously you guys have identified that gaming aspects as a massive trade opportunity. Did you have to have a lot of convincing other than the statistics, or did they just sell themselves as to why we should be starting a team in that, looking at that game development aspect and encouraging that engagement and investment with China and those kind of things?
It really depends. So the way we work is in each region, there's a general manager that looks over that region. They sort of set where their priorities are. And then if a sector's new, often, and if for example, in China, they didn't jump straight into it. They would have started off with sort of a smaller amount of resources and doing targeted programs to actually see what the reaction was like in market. And if there was success behind it and there was real merits, then we expanded it from there. So, so it really depends on sort of each sort of sector and also the events itself. So, with something like the US market, we were hoping to do something around GDC, which is the first time we really did something with games in there for a while. And unfortunately, with COVID taking off, we weren't able to develop that program and put in place. However, we were able to work with the industry association as well as our team in China to actually take that program completely digital, which is sort of, and we put together for those that were visiting GDC, we put together a digital business matching roundtable. We brought sort of publishers and all planning to bring publishers, platform holders, and also investors to the table. And so the way it worked was game studios would be able to pitch, their company or their game to the internet, like the audience in the US. And then afterwards they'll be able to have discussions and be able to have those more in-depth discussions. So it's sort of like a roundtable, like a 5-minute matching sort of session. So we took that completely digital, which is great. So I guess with Austrade, for example, it really depends on location, but often we would start off with like a smaller strategy and sort of start with like information session, see if there was a need on the client side with Australian businesses, but also on there was on the customer side there was a recognition that, hey, yes, they the time was right and they did want to meet with Australian studios. And so moving forward, especially what we're doing now with the investment attraction piece, really looking forward and where we can, especially with COVID, where are those technology businesses now that are looking to expand? And that's with the game sector, looking to expand a studio or even looking to do, more research and development. If they're looking for partnerships with universities to really look into things like AI. So where are those businesses, and how can, and are they looking to, find out more about Australia so we can promote Australians' merits, and then, hopefully get them to come visit Australia and meet with key stakeholders so they can actually be like, yes, we do want to expand in Australia and set up there. And so at the moment, what I'm doing now is, especially with COVID, looking at the data and saying, hey, where is that, and how can we use our team to be able to target those companies?
Yeah, and I guess, even just looking at the PAX online, the fact that you've got Australia, and then you've got the UK and then the US, and they do that 8-hour cycle type aspect.
Yeah.
Are you seeing more and more interest because of COVID for people coming to Australia to try and help with that 8-hour type aspect, or?
I think, especially because of the type of companies we're looking at, because Australia's sector is really, especially since 2010, developed into a really strong independent sector and has had a lot of hits sort of taken over that, the global markets, quite well, especially with an Untitled Goose Game last year, that took off globally. And what that has done is given more recognition globally to Australian capability. So that they can see that there's Australian games that are not only creative, but also commercially successful is like locations where, companies will want to sort of establish. So as a result of those recent successes, and also, Tim Cherry's Hollow Knight and other games, especially Moving Out by SNG Studio, those kind of successes there, they really do help promote Australian capability. And so as a result, there are more looking at Australia saying, I want to learn more about the Australian sector and how we can get involved. So it is something we are seeing, and I believe it's going to get stronger over time. Just as the game sector itself is going from strength to strength, so will that recognition of Australia as a sector. And
And I guess that, obviously you've mentioned quite a few really awesome titles that we've got there. They're coming out of Australia, but there's a lot of talent coming out of Australia as well, going to other places. And I regularly see from my alumni in AIE, whenever a new game comes out or a new movie comes out, you'll see that they put a list of all the Australian talent that was incorporated and utilized within those kind of things as well.
Yeah, which is, absolutely, great to see. And I've got to call out the Interactive Games and Entertainment Association, especially as they're running GCAP this year. But they've been doing a great job in promoting it, working with Austrade to promote Australia, working with the state governments to do the same. And also just the work they're doing to promote Australian capability really needs to be called out for, because they've been doing a fantastic job in promoting our strengths there, and also promoting to the companies they deal with too, which has been a real fantastic help to have an industry association back up its industry.
Yeah, and I guess as well as the Austrade and the state governments, working in conjunction and continually talking to the federal government as well. I think engaging with those people and different areas within federal government as well to try and encourage and showcase and get that promoted in there too. Would you agree or disagree?
Yeah, and I think it's a great sector. Sorry, give me a second. So it's a great sector to see how the federal and state governments can work together, and I'm hoping to see that develop stronger over time. But we regularly get together with both our federal counterparts and our state government counterparts, as well as the industry association, to actually discuss how we can better support the sector, and that's been something we've been doing on a quarterly to a triannual basis, and really looking forward to doing that more often. And and looking forward to catching them up actually this week. So, or the week of PAX.
There you go. And I think it's only going to continue to grow. I don't think this is going to lose momentum anytime soon. Do you?
I know. So fingers crossed. Everything keeps going as it is. And COVID has changed many sectors, but what we're seeing with the game sector is unfortunately there were some businesses that were impacted, and part of that was timing as well, especially those that were about to release a game or about to sign a partnership deal, and then COVID happened. That did impact them. But on the other side, those that had gains of market that were doing well are doing quite well at the moment as well. So it has brought its own set of challenges, but also opportunities. But what we've seen is when it comes to FDI globally, that hasn't stopped. And if you go by all the metrics, the game sector has grown quite phenomenally. So I believe that as a result, it's going to get more recognition, both in what it can bring, which is the skill sets, the technology, the AI, and how they can be applied to all other sectors, and it will be increasingly applied, but also by its own merits. You know, it's larger than both the film and music sector combined, and you know the growth rates between 9 to 11%, and that's expected to happen to 2025. So they're expecting the sector to be worth globally over 200 billion by that's US dollars by 2023, and that's just huge. And that they're not expecting, that's the economist not expecting it to slow down. So it's yeah, it's just going to become bigger and bigger over time.
Certainly help with a lot of debt problems.
Yeah.
And I guess this is the thing, like we're talking about the board game, the video game aspect here, but you know, board games is another one, and experimental games and games for real life. I've seen that here in Canberra, there's some theatre advertising, some game aspects as well. It's not just, while we talk about video games all the time, games obviously cover a wide breadth of areas, and I think that it's really important to showcase those kind of things as well.
100%.
No?
Well, what I think is interesting at the moment is the amount of board games that are getting sort of digital transformations. You know, I heard there was it's a New Zealand game, Spirit Island. You know, that was released in early access on Steam the other week, and I was like, you know, that you know the board game and computer game thing is worlds are sort of really merging, which is interesting to watch.
Necromunda's coming out next month, if you know what that is. It's a board game turning into a computer game.
Oh, okay, never heard of it.
It's good.
And then you've got obviously Armello as well, which is a really good board game as a digital one as well.
Yeah. So and you know that game, the League of Geeks, you know, they're just, I guess the biggest studio in the arcade, but you know they're just gone from strength to strength, and it's awesome to see their success stories coming out of Australia.
I'm very much waiting for their new IP.
100%.
Whatever that may be. Blake hasn't told me yet. I guess let's have a chat to, you know, some of the risks, because obviously, you know, people, when they see government and they see games, they potentially see a bit of risk, but I personally don't. But Adam, did your department see that, and how did you, I guess, mitigate that when you're trying to introduce this new aspect like keyhole and those kind of things? How do you help to mitigate those kind of things?
I suppose there was enough evidence that it was going to work. Like, you know, you see ZBrush sculpts and they're just like, you know, if the artist is good, they look amazing, you know, and we know that we can turn that into a 3D model and send it down for cutting pretty easy. So I think the proof was already there. Like you could see what ZBrush can do. And same for Keyshot. Like you can see the end result looks really good for your promotional stuff and your packaging. So like, I don't think it was seen as much risk, but I might be wrong because I was the guy that came and just taught them that stuff. So maybe they did see it as a risk. Yeah, I don't think there was that much risk there. I suppose the risk with the public would be just the stigma around the word game. I suppose if like you're implementing games type stuff into what you're doing, maybe they see it as something not so serious. But I mean, we all know that it can be super serious. You know, you got simulation and you've got AR and VR that I think is coming right around the corner. With your augmented reality glasses and stuff that are going to be coming out, I think everyone will be using games soon.
What about yourself, Christian? How do you find it when you're talking about games and government? You know, how do you help mitigate those risks that people come up and go, oh, you know, games is just a hobby and it's not, you know, not a proper business. How do you mitigate that? Because I'm sure you'd hear that every so often.
Yeah, well, I guess it's you know, there's always where does it sit between, you know, it's the technology sector and in the screen sector itself. So where Australia, because the way we operate, there are certain parts of gaming we won't touch, which helps those conversations. So, you know, real money gambling, for example. That's not something we can interact in. So if you've got a poker game, that's not the type of thing we can support, which helps, solves those kind of issues, because we don't do that normally, just because there is that reputational risk elements that we have to always be careful about as a government department, which helps. On the other hand, it's really, I think, becoming apparent now that games is across every single age group, every single demographic. I think there was a stat that came out the other day saying over half the world's gamers is over 30. And, and we're fortunate in that some of the clients we work at, they're targeting people, the 65+ group. And that really goes to show that it is a core sector, and that everyone's using it. Everyone's playing on their phones, and the data, especially the data the industry associations such as RG have done, especially in both Australia and New Zealand's consumer markets, they prove that is one of the most accessed entertainment sector across Australia. So people are using it. People are spending money on it. I think the sector is worth between 3 to 4 billion Australian dollars in total. So that's not the development, but the consumer spending side. And that's from everything from playing games on your mobile phone to, to the match 3 in your computer to, hardcore computer games to, simulations. And that, I think it's becoming more and more apparent that it is a huge sector. It's worth more than the films by itself. So, yeah, but always have to have those conversations, but I think the metrics are there. And also, especially with COVID now, people are realizing how much it is actually a part of their life.
Yeah, and I guess if you have a look, I watched the Mandalorian's special aspects. I think it's the gallery or something like that. And one of the episodes is purely just on technology talking, and they're showcasing Jon Favreau using the VR headset and the Unreal Engine, and how they were using that in the film space, yet alone the actual the volume, I think they call it, which is an amazing piece of tech, and heavily reliant on games industry tech.
100%. I think that was Unreal that powered the Mandalorian, and behind the scenes working with that technology you mentioned. Just, I believe they filmed over 50% of the Mandalorian using that virtual production technology, and it really is going to change how films are made. There's always positives and there's always minuses to change. But I think we're going to see is, as a result of COVID, is the acceleration of the adoption of that technology. But what it will offer through, adopting games technology will actually allow content creators to actually be able to, and this is if you're an Australian filmmaker, through accessing virtual production technology, you'll be able to make films with big special effects far cheaper, enabling Australian content creators to be able to compete more easily with Hollywood. In that the visual effects, what they're offering is state-of-the-art visual effects at a far cheaper price, and production-wise, they can use it while filming, which will offer significant advantages to Australian independence industry. Of course, there will be negatives, but that technology sort of is becoming adopted. But yeah, it's going to be a bit of a game changer for how they make films, especially Australian films.
Look, everything's a balance. We can't all have good times without having some bad times, unfortunately. And I think you're right when you look at the last 4 or 5 Marvel movies, and you stay right to the very end, because everyone loves to stay to the end for the post credits, and you see those Victoria and Screen Australia symbols that pop up, because they've done a lot of those visual effects in those movies as well. Those are all skill sets that are coming out of places like the different universities, RMIT, SAE, Quantum, AIE, all those kind of places, all those skill sets that people are learning, and then obviously they're teaching themselves as well, and at home.
100%. And I think it's going to be interesting is I heard someone say that it's going to transition from sound stages to picture stages as a result. So, it's always sound stage, minimizing the sound. And now it's about, picture stage with those LED screens in the background, all powered by the game engine. So it's, if you're a game developer, it's a really exciting piece to look into and potentially get involved in.
That's only one industry of how games is influencing film. You've got games influencing, as Adam said, simulation, and that obviously in simulation, you've got defense, mining, health, education. There's massive amounts of opportunities there, and that's just the visual side of things as well. When you're looking at the AI and the analytics that come within the games industry, there's heaps of opportunities, I think, there, which I think I know various government departments are looking at it and seeing how they can be adopting some of that information and those aspects into their delivery aspects to better deliver the right products for the right people.
100%, especially things even like user experience. If you're a like a mobile game developer, other apps need that experience. Like, how do you get people engaged and learning from what you're trying to create? And that is just, that experience and skill sets is, what comes naturally to a game developer is really important across all other technology sectors, be it, public health sort of announcement, sort of promotion kind of app to, a commercial app. That experience is really important, especially, and will become more important moving forward.
Um, Adam, I'll go back to you. I've got one final question, and then I'll open up the floor, Adam, in case you've got any other cool screenshots to showcase.
Oh, yeah.
But how do you see your work potentially contributing to the games community here within Australia? As a government employee contributing back to the games community, how do you see that?
My particular work,
Yeah.
I suppose for potential graduates or people looking to get into games, maybe just the realization that your skill set can be transferred to some other thing that isn't necessarily a game. Like, you could be making stuff, so coins. If you're into 3D printing or whatever, you could be making little figures. You could be making miniatures. You could be making like those superhero figures and stuff. Yeah, like, your skills are transferable, I reckon, is the main thing. But like the industry itself, I'm not quite sure, because it's pretty specialized.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
What about
Do you
yourself,
have any
Chris?
ideas?
Look, I think the way that you're being that pioneer aspect, the fact that were able to get into the Mint, and you started off by teaching them and showcasing them, this is potentially a better way of doing things, and they've obviously evaluated that and said, yeah, that is a better way of doing things. So let's hire Adam in, let's hire the teacher, and then we'll get him on our payroll, and he can teach other people how to utilize it. Because I'm sure you've done some lessons internally once you've been hired as well,
Yep.
as well as doing your own sculpting. And being that pioneer to showcase to your department and to other departments that these are valuable assets that we have here within Australia that we can be utilizing.
Yep. Cool. Yeah, I agree.
I like it when you agree with me. It's always
Yep.
handy.
Why wouldn't I?
What about yourself, Christian? What do you see? Obviously, we've talked about how those opportunities you're continuing to build for the games industry and that trade investment and those links. What about the games community within Australia?
Yeah, so because we're in investment traction, what we focus on is only productive foreign direct investment. So that's when, it doesn't create competition for Australian businesses and creates real jobs or helps introduce this new technology. And so what I'm hoping that we're able to contribute is actually creating more jobs, more opportunities, especially for graduate students, and also introduce new technologies so Australian businesses can adopt them and become more competitive. So really hoping to, contribute to that over time and create new opportunities. Especially for those in the sector now, new opportunities they didn't know exist, or those international Australians working in big businesses, hopefully getting them back onto shore if they want to be, of course, but creating those opportunities within Australia through the investment attraction work, because productive foreign direct investment really does create jobs and really does contribute to all sectors. So really hoping that can make a difference.
Nice one. All right, Adam, did you have any more screenshots that you wanted to show and any work that you've done?
I can show you some, yeah.
Oh, they're awesome. So yes, please.
Yeah. Just as long as they're not exclusives, because, you don't want to take away from the Mint giving out their exclusive stuff.
No, you might not see me at the Mint anymore if I do that.
But really goes to show how awesome, how useful these skill sets are. So, it's just pluses.
Yeah, I can show you. Where's the zooms? What's happening there? Okay.
Coin collecting, it's very serious business. I think it's usually the first coin of every year, and some of the guys camp out for a week so they can get that first coin minted of the year. It's crazy.
Yeah.
They're awesome people. I love them.
They are.
I got to check out the Perth Mint. I'm all excited about the coin business now. Like after seeing that design, I'm like, oh, maybe I should get some coins.
Yeah. I also check out the Royal Australian Mint too. It's a good one.
Yeah, well, hopefully, when we can travel again,
Oh,
because
there's a
WA is a bit
website. They've
far
got a
from
website.
Canberra.
It's online stores.
Yeah, it's online, man.
Oh, it's not
Yep.
the same.
I don't know.
Working.
Check it out. You might like it. So there's this one, the Clancy, the overflow, I suppose. Can I skip to other things?
That's cool.
Yeah. I'll show you.
And do you mind describing frosting? Is that a common term that I should know?
Yeah. So the frosting. So what one has lots of frosting? So one of the expensive ones, I suppose.
Oh, they're not all 50 cents?
No. That's so the Batavia.
Oh.
So it's a triangle bullion coin, and that one there is gold. And what we're trying to convey there is any of the sculpted bits, like the ship, the curtains, the little figures, the rim. So that's all frosted. So pretty much, it's not as polished as the background. So the background's like a mirror polish as much as you can.
Okay.
And frosted is where, you're not going to see any reflections or anything like that because, it's a bit rougher. That is your frosting. So we have a whole different selection of frosts that we can do. This coin only has 2. So it's got the one frost and then the one polish. Other coins might have multiples.
And so do they know that because of, like, are you using layer aspects to say this is a frosted layer, like frosted 1, this is frosted 2, or
Yeah,
is
so
there something different?
I pretty much just in Keyshot, I have the different models. So if the boat was going to be frost 1 and then the curtains were going to be frost 2, I'd have them in there as 2 separate models, and all I have to do is drag my frost 1 and frost 2 material on there, and it's done. And then we can see what it's going to look like.
So then you just send that down to the guys downstairs, guys and girls downstairs, sorry, and then they just stamp it and say, here's a gold coin that's worth more than your 3 months worth of wages.
Yeah. So 1 week of wages.
Are triangle coins common? I've never seen one before.
No, it's not very common.
Okay.
It's pretty rare. Yeah, it's pretty unique to us, I think. So this one, so with the sending it downstairs thing, we need to get it approved first. So that R&D has a look at the model, make sure they think that the heights are all right and that it's going to coin properly. So there's a thing called metal flow. So as it gets pressed, the metal flows to the outside of the coin, and the experts downstairs can tell if that's going to work. So if they think it's good, then it gets the tick of approval and then gets sent downstairs. So there is, it's not just send it straight downstairs. There's obviously approvals, but yeah.
And you've done some stuff with colors, because the Magic Possum, that had some colors and stuff on it. Is there any difference to doing stuff with colors than not, or?
Yep, of course. So we need to make a print file and all that type of stuff. So in the concepting phase, where's my colored ones? Get that one.
I know this has turned more into talking about coins and stuff like that,
Yeah,
but I think these are cool things.
Sorry.
Hey, don't worry about that. I think it's cool.
I didn't do it. You did it. You asked me.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's awesome.
So this one's in circulation. The police remembrance. Yeah, that one's color. So you can see there in the middle, it's got the colored checkers. So throughout concept, we've got to make sure that product developers and stuff like the color. So with the $2, we can't have like the color facing one way, if you know what I mean. So the coin just goes in and it gets stamped with color, like just, there's a whole bunch of coins. We put the colors on, and they're not like lined up. So I don't know how much of this I should be saying. Anyway, so you can see the color, it can't have an orientation. So that color there can spin around to any direction and it's still going to print properly, stuff like that.
Is that what all the little black bits are on it?
So underneath there's some ridges so that if the color starts to get scratched off, it won't all get scratched off at once. So there's some dips in the coin where the print will pull.
Okay.
So the tops of the ridges will get scratched, and then in the dip, the color will stay a little bit, so it lasts a little bit longer. Yeah. So there's a bit to it.
So this is in circulation, so I might get given $2 from the shops tonight. Got your initials on it.
Yep, that one. If you see that one,
I mean, $2
AWB.
change.
So any coin that's got AWB on there, that's an Atom coin.
There we go.
Yep.
I remember I loved the coin hunt when they did, and they had the A, the U, and the S on the 3 different dollar coins. You had to find them.
It's awesome.
That was a great idea. I loved it.
Yeah.
Was that your idea, Adam?
Yeah. No, it wasn't my idea. Great idea, but awesome coin.
All right. Did anyone want to say anything else before we wrap up?
I guess
No.
Go, Christian.
Oh, I've got to think of something now. Now, game sector's great. The growth rate is there, and the Australian game sector really is, has had successes, both creative and commercial successes, and that shows that, Australia has real capability in making games. So, with Australia, look forward to supporting the sector further, moving forward, and also looking forward to any questions you might have, generally, or how you can sort of get a trade support, or even if you are international, you're looking at, hey, maybe I do want to consider establishing a studio in Australia. More than happy for you to reach out. I think the details on my LinkedIn's provided, so more than happy for you to reach out and get in contact, and we can chat and see how we can support you in considering Australia as a place to expand.
Nice one. Adam, did you have anything else left to add?
No, just thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you as well.
No problem. Like I said, it's always great to, because I see, and people getting in touch with me all the time, being kind of like the games guy within government, and it's always cool to see all these different little pockets that are utilizing these type of technologies and utilizing them in unique ways. There are so many more departments that I wish we could be able to get on to showcase this, and I guess it's good because it means I've got content for years to come, and hopefully at PAX 2021 we'll have another Gamifying Government panel which will have a whole new range of people on showcasing how they're utilizing it, and hopefully we'll have the audience there as well, because without the audience being interested in these kind of aspects, then we don't get these type of panels up and going. But I'd like to thank Adam for coming along, and Christian as well for being a part of the panel today, taking time out of their day to engage and talk to us about how different government departments are utilizing these technologies and different processes, and contributing towards a growing gaming community here within Australia, and showcasing that government's not all about policy aspects and what you see in the news, that there are a lot of people here that are doing really great and innovative aspects within the industry that's themselves in the games and the government areas. So with that, I'll say thank you very much. Hopefully everyone's been asking lots of questions that come along with this in a Q&A, written Q&A, I'm assuming PAX Online have provided us, and Adam, Christian and myself have been there frantically answering questions as best we can. I'll just reiterate again, because this is a video, obviously the views that have been expressed here are our own, unless otherwise stated for the particular departments. So, please again, don't go out and start saying, Defence said this and Austrade said this, and, if I signed up, I'll get $1 million straight up. That's not what Christian said at all. Adam didn't offer any free coins, so don't do that either. But yeah, that's Gamifying Government for another year. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you all later.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Thank you. Have a good one.